Just related to the comment, there's here in Florida, they have, I've been getting a recurrence of a very intense weather control and chemical, environmental pollutions and psychic, dimensional challenges have to do with the media bombardment and the satellite system that I am also, we've related very often, and it's just good to be aware of. And actually, for those who live in places that aren't so bombarded because of the populations, which is really the main direction, is a city controlled environment or dominated population. So of course, being in that vicinity is going to be more problematic, and or you have to deal with all of the tolls, we'll call them, that are put up with all of the lifestyle and building, medical, etc., food pollution, and the oil and gas, etc., industries, energy industries, media industries, delivery systems, and the media. So it's fine, because actually, in one way, all we do is we know this is on, and even if you're in that environment, it's not necessarily dangerous. In fact, when I was in New York, I didn't feel any danger at all, except for one time walking through the park in Central Park, which is a big park in the center of the main city of New York, and it's beautiful, real nice, and safe, even at night. But I didn't know that exactly, because yes, it can be, of course, any dark park area that has population around it can be a dangerous spot to be in. But I had taken a mental attitude somewhere along the walk that, oh shit, I'm in the park, excuse my language, and in the dark, there's no lights, and I could be in a vulnerable position. But I had this idea, because that is the former idea, is you can't go into the park at night. But it's evidently probably not really true. It's for the most part, especially if you're roller skating through it, you've got plenty of mobility and so forth. So in any case, that was just an experience back then. But I wanted to talk about the focus, which is that despite everything that's going on, I had this term that I wanted to share yesterday or a couple of days ago with Val and his friend, that they've won she's got Indian blood, so anyway, I said I should have said, or wanted to say, they've won the battles, but we win the war, because we're really not involved with the battles. We don't have to be involved with their psychic dimensional modulation, manipulation, and monopoly. And if we are, we do it by choice, and we're not under its aggrandizement. That means it's so-called grandeur of being patriotic or loyalistic or religiously devoted, etc. And even if we seem to them that we're following along, that's not a problem either. It's not being deceptive or realistic or any of those, either side, or the third side, which is being, I would say, being real. because that is a form of being real here. And so I get that sharing of that part, that's an aspect that allows us, I guess that's the spy versus spy, and or we're Casper the Ghosting, or Ghostbusters, and that's how it is, So the Ghostbusters go out with their equipment, and they've got their vehicles, and they're anti, and they're even a machine that takes the ghost and puts it and captures it. And so this is the vehicles that they have used. They are using captivity, domination, and monopolistic, or also mono means one God. And so that means that there's only one dimensional view, and you must obey. Resistance is futile, and all of these other codes that came down through, let's say, science fiction, which is the science fiction of this reality that we are experiencing. And the one I'm leading towards is the alienation that was actually historically ancient. However, same thing with the Atlantean situation, where they also were experiencing, whether they were aware of it in that civilization, maybe let's say 12,000 years ago, and that is totally disappeared, because a lot of everything that's going on is really a fourth dimensional, modulated, simulated reality. That's a pretty good way of recognizing it. My way, or I'm sharing of, has something to do with the stars and the I call it the Solaris, which is the solar isness, which is also related to what we refer to as a light body, that each of us is and are. That is our body of awareness that is connected to the universal and connected to the lower dimensional and physical reality as our connect point. If we are aware of our solar body or being isness, then we can move in all realities and have our being, and that's natural. Most people are not aware of these bodies and parts of themselves, which is because of the indoctrination and the mental and emotional and physical senses and vehicles that are for the most part demonstratively manipulated and or objectified. And we objectify ourselves by connecting to whatever points in the reality, or our emotions, our mental, physical attachments or connections or conduits that we have accepted, unconsciously or not. And so we always have to work with them or through them and see or have them, allow ourselves to eliminate or evict and or you could call it interpret them. If we are able to, now we're moving to that ability to be having total awareness, if you will, going way back in Eckankar with that term. But yes, that was part of that, our teaching that a few of us here have had. And then we also had to go beyond it or see its position so that we are now not stuck in its creation, And the same thing goes with the universal perspective. Are we stuck with that? Because we can have a universal perspective, and it too could follow the same simulated dynamic, which is really mostly autonomism. That is, there is no uh, uh, movement outside of it, let's say, and everything is automatic. So I related this myself because lately I've been having to, more so than I used to, have to watch what I'm doing. It's a form of forgetfulness or lack of attention. Now, that's been ongoing the entire, time, where there's a kind of a lack of attention or lack of focused ability, so that we do things on automatic, as one example. And I'm finding that doing anything on automatic, probably not the best practice. It's easy, and familiar, and our familiarities do play very much into how we live, and it makes it easier for us to adapt. But also, this is also what the systematic, simulated dominance wants. Okay, so we feel comfortable, we feel agreed with, accepted, because we didn't confront mostly that. And also, though, this is, the dumbing down and or the lessening of our true being, which is completely uh, independent, and or inter. I don't even know to use the word interdependent, but it's not in that sense like a controlled dependence. Instead, it's quite the reverse. It's a unified freedom of awareness that we are has available to each one of us naturally, wholly, and um, universally. And so I'm use that with the astrological, because it's not astrological though. What I'm working with, it's the real universe and its field in, let's say, in the creation, but that's quite different from the creation it that followed it, that has now been orchestrated as some idiosyncratic or idiocracy, that is ideology, context, that this is real because we said it is, and then God's part of it, and then blah blah blah, whatever is all part of it, our nationality and our race and sex and all those identifications that really have no actual bearing except for their realities themselves, which they are real. We all have sex and race and nation, family, and institutional, or whatever you want to call those positions that we can be part of. This is the song I remember writing 15, no, longer than that, at least 20 years ago. It's a blues song, and it goes, I'm stuck with it's hard working with 5 bodies at a time. And, whatever kind of blues, and some of my songs I play for people who know what it is, and they laugh at me. It's a silly, lyric and sort of stuff like that. I remember doing a blues song related to the Eckankar, like that. And what happened was that friend that I was played with, we're still friends, but he basically won't respond to me. And internet wise and phone call wise and so forth and so on, and most of them don't. I find it extremely odd, but it seems to be the so-called psychic natural of human beings, people. to basically have to push other things that might be real aside in order for themselves to stay where they are and not be discomforted, I suppose. And also because of their busyness they have going on, which is a busyness in their mind as well. And many people have a lot of trouble with it. I would say that this president in the United States and his partners have a great deal of trouble with it. They cannot stop their minds. Yada, 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 chada, 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 chunka, chunka, chunka. And although they're not totally aware of it, but they're at all, and I'm saying that there's a very short dimensional, it's a dimensional rift that they are not willing to cross and that they're embattled by. The compassion is for them in that sense, more than us. We don't need the compassion because we have the compassion, let's say, generally, as an idea, not saying that, yes, we are all compassionate. No, we're same, working with it too. However, by having that point of awareness, real awareness, that's our escape module, if you will. And I'm working my astronomical/astrological arts, that is to be aware not only of the physical universe, so the local creation solar system, but also the universal or true reality that life is, and that isness, which, let's say, there's we'll call it, we have our solar reality and we have a universal reality. And the solar one is mostly under domination, although it has its whole interrelation with all is. And as we are like that, individuals who have our own positional awareness and solar system wise, that is physical creation. And then we have our real awareness and also our universal, let's call it perspective, but it's also we can create or be with our universal positioning. And that is probably to say more better. And it's not that the other is bad or good or there's none of those bipolar brain laws, principles, or context that we need to accept. I will say that I think going into the cyclic very briefly, just to complete on this, is that there is I think we're going 3-year cycles in the local system, but in relation to the universal. The universal is working with this entire field, and it's in cycles of 3s and 7s and etc. We're about to enter a 7-year cycle next year, but also there's 3-year cycles, which I related to the much larger picture. We've just completed 3 years with Andromeda as a relation, which is, Andromeda is like a female. It's not the queen, it's more like the princess and the prince of, but also it's our partner galaxy. And so there's been this I would call it more like the creation karma of the alien awareness that has been shared or present or presented. And so that being the case, that's there were certain attributes of the feminine that definitely have come forth, and part of their accepting their own positions of their own universal positioning, let's say, but also as individuals instead of always in relations to everything else. men in particular, for women, where that's their role or position, and they, instead of their much larger position, and which includes, yes, these ones that are identified as basically as egotistic, or in male terms, narcissistic, because this isn't just for the women, but I do want to relate that aspect in that cycle of the last 3 years in particular. And now we're entering one which I relate with the star system of Pegasus, the white-winged horse of the Aquarian. And the Aquarian is a humane, progressive, scientific, tech, futuristic, let's say, or trying to create the future now, that kind of awareness. And yes, that's the picture. It's also just going to add the part about the new you, and all of that is very much in harmony with both recent positions in the last 3 years and this next 3, in the sense that it has been allowed in some way to evolve in its progression as well. So we're here in a new position always, and it's interesting to see what we can do, or want to do, or need to do, and just continuing. Oh, wow, Val, I didn't think any of that was going to come through, but thanks very much. Any idea or questions or anything? You know, I think it was self-explanatory, and appreciate being able to share this. It's the next month or so in particular is, I will say, very interesting. And then through the year, both the aspects of these progressions, and I'll say the negative, we'll call it, or the physical, one-dimensional creation thing, and also the other, which is the movement beyond, or the awareness of, that is available, and so forth. So, okay. Thanks, Val.
Thank you, Peter. Thanks for your input. Thank you very much. Okay.
Thank you. Yeah.
You want to start with the new you, Peter? Go ahead. We'll finish it here.
Okay. New, Thank you.